Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm here with Adam Winters. I'm Joe Gould, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, Killer Clowns from Outer Space from 1988.
I have my popcorn ready. I'll just bite into this once to prove that I have it, and I won't annoy the whatever audience we have with all the crunching.
There you go. Your popcorn's not moving, is it?
I don't know. Sometimes, you hear a pop in the bag and when you didn't expect it. Kind of makes you wonder, but this movie does put a different spin on cotton candy, which I don't honestly care much for, but also popcorn.
Oh, yeah. So what is your history with this movie? Is this a longtime favorite of yours? Do you hate it? Have you only seen it yesterday?
Yeah, I only watched it yesterday. I'm surprised. Usually I see these sort of things on cable TV at some point, or else maybe I stream them free on a whim. But I had never set all the way down for this one, and I'm glad I did. I find this something of a classic. Is it a cult classic, or is it like a box office classic?
Well, I don't know. So first off, I have to say I'm shocked that this is the first time you've sat down and watched the entire movie, considering it is done by the Chiodo Brothers.
Sure.
I find that
Me
very
too.
surprising, as I know you thoroughly respect their work.
Oh, I love these
Oh.
kind of these are my favorite kind of special effects. Boy, yeah. Much as I can complain about movies we've seen like Superman movies or Supergirl movies, I have nothing but praise on them other than I found they cut a scene out of the movie that I liked because they weren't happy with the lighting and the paint on it. And I'm disappointed they cut it.
So to get to your other question, the budget for this movie was $1.8 million. It made back $43.6 million. Pretty even split domestic versus international. But it wasn't a very wide release. So 43 seems like a lot for a movie that didn't get a wide release.
That's good money for 1987, isn't it?
Yes, I mean it made basically what 40 very little promotional. This movie probably made $30 million for the studio. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Plus the VHS sales. So
Yeah.
that being said, it's definitely a B movie.
What's a B plus?
yeah. I mean it's very economically made. We'll just put it that way. And I don't know. I think it's a movie where it's never got big releases, but word of mouth has kept it alive. And I just want to sing the praises of Shoutin' Factory. They do such good work. And I'm so glad they made the 4K release.
I didn't know it had a special release. It doesn't surprise me, but I picked up just the other week in my local Great Escape for $4 the old MGM DVD, which was pretty good. For what it was. It's a lot of good content, director commentary, and 2 deleted scenes, a blooper reel, several making of featurettes that I didn't make it all the way through. But what's the Shout Factory got going on for it?
Well, I don't think they added anything new, but it's a true 4K upgrade.
Okay.
So I think it's based off whatever the nice release that you probably got. But I think there was a Blu-ray version as well. It's got the commentaries. It's got the same 2 missing scenes. I don't think there's anything new. As a matter of fact, the 4K disc actually only has the scan and the commentary. You actually have to watch the Blu-ray to get the specials. So I don't think they necessarily did anything special with it other than give it a cool steelbook. But they released it again. And it looks really nice in 4K. A lot of movies, the special effects get worse as you make them more high definition. This is not one of those cases. So
that's good to know. I thought it was a very colorful film. The tent looks really good, I think. And the clowns, they got their thing going on.
Yeah, no, it's great. So I first watched this movie back on cable multiple times in the 90s. I think I did see the deleted scenes before. I'm not sure about the staircase scene, the one you were talking about, but I definitely remember the other one. The filmmakers, they were lamenting the fact that they had to cut scenes for time when they're like, it's an 84-minute movie. Like, I have to sit through 2 hour and 10-minute trash today. But
boy, that's the truth. We have.
Yes, we have. And it was much more expensive than $1.8 million.
No excuse.
So there's an irony here that you are a big fan of the Chiodo Brothers and had never seen this movie. I was a huge fan of this movie and knew nothing about the Chiodo Brothers because I just didn't at the time. It felt like the last 5 years or so. But I found out that I loved all their stuff. I just didn't know who they were.
Well, and I can't claim to be a huge fan because I can't tell you how many brothers there are. 2 or 3?
There's 3 in this movie, and I think there's 3 total.
So I just love Ernest Scared Stupid, and I knew they were responsible for a lot of that magic. But I don't know that I've
Yeah.
seen any of their other films. What am I missing out on that I need to look up in addition to Klowns?
Oh, I don't want to misspeak. I think they had a lot of the little practical special effects in movies, animatronic, stop motion, that kind of stuff. They were the go-to guys. So, and for the record, this is the only movie that they directed and wrote. So they were really
Shocking.
the backup team for all the other stuff.
Well, we missed out on some good stuff if this is the only movie they ever. Never a sequel or remake to this? Do you know anything about a sequel or a remake?
There's a video game that came out last year, and they've been working on various ways to get a killer clown thing going. They almost had one going with Sci-Fi Network, but they wanted to use a budget of $1.8 million. And they're like, wait a second, we did a $1.8 million budget like long time ago. It's like, we can't do this on $1.8 million now. It's going to look cheap.
Inflation ain't that crazy, not yet.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about this video game.
Yeah, I haven't actually looked at too much. So you had asked what other stuff they'd done. They worked on Pee-wee's Big Adventure. They actually did work on Elf. I wasn't aware of that. If I'm not mistaken, they did assist with Gremlins and Critters. I'm going to have to check myself and possibly take that out of the episode, though. So they did a lot of cool stuff.
That would make sense.
And they kind of went dark. And I'm not real excited about it because I'm not convinced they're part of it. Is in April of this year, it was announced that Amazon MGM is going to do a remake. And Ryan Gosling is set to produce.
I'm not looking forward to that because I was just thinking how perfect this is on what it is. And I feel like if there's a remake, they're going to try to invent all this lore that just doesn't need to exist about everybody's motivations for doing everything. They're going to lose the simplicity of this.
I don't trust other people working with their IP. Yeah. So I think at one point, I can't remember if this was on the extras or what it was, but there was an idea that a clown egg got left behind and got raised by an actual circus. And then the actual killer clowns, they came back. And this clown that had been raised by the people of the circus, the freaks, had to make a choice as to what side it would be on. Now, I trust the Chiodo Brothers to work with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's great about this movie is it's basically the Blob, only they've taken the Blob out and put in killer clowns. And all the characters are the Chiodo Brothers' friends growing up.
They do reference the Blob on the creator commentary, and I'm assuming that's the original 1950s film, not the 1980s remake, because I don't think it had come out yet.
Yeah, and actually this movie, they based this off of basically the old 50s horror movies where you got the giant creature attacking, and you got these kids that got to convince all the adults of what's going on. And they really run with that, and the characters play it completely straight. The dialogue is absurd, but they play it straight. It's a very serious movie on one hand.
Do you really think it's fair to call these people kids in this movie? That's a little bit of a stretch, I think, from your typical...
Well, they're college students. I'm old enough to call college students kids.
But legally adults, though. You know, they can go out and they can park on the highest point in the world or whatever they call it.
Well, teenagers can do that.
Well, yeah, but then it's a little bit more scandalous, I think, than if it's the college students doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have those two goth people walking down the road just drinking a bottle of wine.
Yeah, that surprised me. The guy who walks out of the bar with all the liquor, at first I thought he was a 13-year-old because he has that baby face, but then he puts the beer down and you can see, okay, he's probably at least old enough
to
do that because the cop, what's his name? John Vernon? Another
Mooney.
favorite? Yeah, Officer Mooney. Vernon played the bad guy in Ernest Goes to Camp, right?
I believe you're right. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe you're right.
Do you know at the time, was he the most recognizable actor in this film? And in retrospect, all these years later, is he still the most recognizable actor in the film?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't even think it's close. Now, I think the farmer probably had been in a lot of movies, but I don't think anyone would have recognized Royal Dano or Dano.
He has very much of the first guy to die vibe. He seems to be not quite all there mentally.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be, but he was definitely the first guy to die. And they killed his dog.
Put him in the pods, at least. So I don't know if that means automatic deaths or not when you're in the cotton candy pods.
It melts them into
eventually,
blood syrup.
But eventually
the dog is still there at the end. The dog is still there at the end. I think it makes them liquid pretty quick because the guy drank the blood syrup out of the cocoon with the funny straw. And I believe that was someone that had been killed earlier in the movie. So the fact that the dog is so much smaller than everyone else and was the first victim, I would
Yeah.
imagine that it goes quickly.
And that's all the motivation I need for the clowns. They come because human beings make good cotton candy punching bags for their Slurpees. That's all the lore I need for this movie.
Yeah, there's a scene where they're walking through the funhouse thing at the end, and they're talking about like what they start talking about motivations at a very inappropriate time when they should be quiet, by the way.
Yeah.
And they have discussions like, and there's lots of hypotheses, but then at the end, one of the idiots says maybe they're just cruising through the galaxy and drop by for a bite to eat.
Yeah,
and
man.
That pretty much is why they're there.
That's what I assume every space alien wants to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they basically ran by Walmart, Kroger's, Publix, whatever you want to say, and stocking up for the trip, loading up the food in the RV.
At one point, they probably set up a circus on Mars. That's why we can't find anybody on Mars. So, yeah.
That's why there's craters.
Yeah, they do have a big old crater when the big top lifts up and goes somewhere else.
So, what do you think of the score?
Well, the musical score, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. It works because it's got the whatever you think of circusy music. I don't know how much. I don't know how much of that is public domain. Just those kind of medleys or cues. Nothing special about the music though. It works what it needs to be.
The main theme is amazing by the Dickies, by the way.
Okay, maybe I need to listen to it again.
P.T. Barnum said it so long ago. There's one born every minute, don't you know? Some make us laugh, some make us cry. These clowns only gonna make you die. Everybody's running when the circus comes into their towns. Everyone's gunning for the likes of the killer clowns. Good stuff.
That'll rap. Yeah, good.
Yeah, they don't rap, but I couldn't remember the tune.
Yeah.
The ringmaster shouts, "Let the show begin! Send in the clowns! Then let them do you in! See a rubber nose on a painted face, bringing genocide to the human race." It's catchy.
So that is the rubber nose is their one weakness that is revealed in the movie.
They don't seem to try to defend it very much, though.
Maybe that's just point of pride. That if you're man enough, bop me on the nose or shoot me there.
Yeah, it's like they're both nimble and very not nimble at the same time, these clowns. They do stumble over their own feet.
Yeah, they seem to have teleportation abilities when it's convenient. They can just appear wherever they need to, but they never move particularly fast. They can jump really high.
They jog slowly. I don't know. So the cast in this movie is not very large in terms of actual main characters. The wiki has 7, and I couldn't think of really anyone they missed other than the Doofus brothers. But Grant Kramer is Mike Tobacco. So that's a real name.
Okay. So the only reason I remember his name is because on the credits it wrote his last name as Tobacco. But beyond that, the only character's name I could remember in this movie was Debbie, because everybody says it over and over again. And
I remembered Mooney's name.
The Ice Cream Brothers, like Cheek and Chong or Rhett and Butler, or what are the Ice Cream Brothers?
They're the Terenzis, which probably doesn't roll off the tongue, but again, these were actually real names.
Rich Paul. Isn't that the name of LeBron James's agent, Rich Paul?
I don't know.
I'm going to look that up while you continue with the cast.
You got Grant Kramer as Mike Tobacco. You got Suzanne Snyder as Debbie Stone. She did a couple of horror movies, and that was pretty much it. You have John Allen Nelson as Officer Dave Hansen. And those 3 are the main characters. And then you got John Vernon, as we've mentioned, as Officer Mooney. Great job in that role. Royal Dano as Farmer Gene Green. He stole the show, what can you say? Charles Chiodo actually played Jojo the Clownzilla, the main guy at the end. And at least Christopher Titus is Bob McReed. I don't remember who Bob McReed is. I think he's one of the teenagers that got killed. But
was he the guy with the glasses? They make a big to-do when they find the glasses.
He must have had some other roles to be listed on the cast on the Wikipedia page over the brothers who were in the movie quite a bit.
Actually, they saved the day.
Oh yeah,
huh?
They're like a cat. They always land on their feet. Rich and Paul Terenzi.
Did they credit the dog who gave his life for our entertainment?
Probably not. They said it was an extra and not very good.
Okay, I'll confess. I didn't care for most of the cast in this movie simply because they didn't sell it well. And I'm looking at when I saw the credits, I said, "Is that Suzanne Summers?" But who's Debbie's? What's her?
Suzanne Snyder.
Suzanne Snyder. I can see why she didn't get a whole lot of parts, because she just doesn't look super into it like she needs to. on the Terrified. She's a pretty face. She reminds me a lot of Amy Irvin, who was in a lot of stuff in the 80s. Now, curly redhead, very pretty face. But she just doesn't sell the terror when she's getting attacked in the bathroom and everything else.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong, but I do think the characters have pretty good chemistry with each other, and they recite their lines so serious, even though it's so absurd, and there's a charm to it. And I love how they kind of flipped it, whereas you don't have the ditzy girl, you have the ditzy guy in Mike Tobacco.
How useless is he supposed to be? He serves the role early on, but once Officer Hansen gets involved, it feels like Mike is non-essential, and you're kind of waiting for him or Hansen to get killed off.
Well, he's so essential that by the end of the movie, he does nothing wrong and then loses the girl to the old boyfriend.
Well, we've all been there. I don't know.
So Mike and Debbie are in the woods. They see the spaceship. They get scared of the killer clowns. They run to go tell the police department that 2 people have been killed. Mike doesn't know at the time that she's actually going to tell her old boyfriend who works there. Dave helps them throughout the movie. Debbie gets kidnapped, and nobody's fault really there. And then Mike and Dave go with the idiot brothers to go rescue her. Ultimately, they do, and the brothers they thought were dead, but then they weren't. So the movie ends with the officer Dave kissing Debbie on the back of the head with his arm around her, and Mike celebrating the fact that his 2 dumb buddies are alive. So
that's the real love right there, the bromance between Mike and the Rich and Paul brothers.
And at one point, Dave, he kind of made the realization that, how did he put it? He put it as, it's obvious she goes for laughs, not stability. And that's how he kind of explains to himself how he could possibly have lost her to this numbnut.
I didn't find Mike terribly funny, though. The brothers were kind of hilarious, but he's just kind of, I don't know, he's like the guy who presents the act. Like, we now present the Rich and Paul Ice Cream Brothers. That's how Mike comes across in this movie.
Well, and apparently he really was kind of their third wheel. And they did apparently cut out some dialogue or some scene at the beginning where they demonstrated that he did have like a history of getting into trouble and being adventurous. So not knowing that backstory, he's just kind of wandering around getting in trouble here. And he goes through the entire spaceship before he realizes that it's not a fun house. It's not a cotton candy factory.
Who would have thought? Yeah. That one when Mike and Debbie are first inside the spaceship tent and they go through the door and it's sort of like their nuclear reactor engine. Did you get vibes of Star Wars A New Hope with Luke and Leia when they're trying to escape from the stormtroopers?
So I did, but I don't think that's what they were going for based off of the commentary. I think it was from some horror movie from the 50s or sci-fi movie. I didn't write it down which one you talked about.
Huh.
But yeah. But part of that was the absurdity of, you saw how big the tent was, and then you got this like 20-story nuclear reactor in the middle of it. Like, that wouldn't really fit.
Oh, the tent is my favorite character, the spaceship. It's so, it boggles the mind. I just wanted to see the whole movie take place inside that space tent. That was special. That's great.
Yeah, and it's basically a giant Tinker toy set. So you had these black backgrounds, and they would just take the equivalent of Tinker toys and put them together to create new rooms. And they would just take it apart and make something new every time, so that they could have the illusion of like all these set pieces. But in reality, they only paid for one set. They just had to take time and make it look different all the time. It really does work.
It reminds me of a good episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark from Nickelodeon, just going around that tent. And that's a compliment. That really is.
I don't know if they would take it that way, but okay.
Well, just say this. For a show that was probably produced on a budget that was comparable per episode, they did a lot of creative stuff with set design, practically.
Okay. So this movie is somewhat polarizing in the sense that you either love it or you hate it. I don't know a lot of people that are in the middle.
Who the heck hates it other than like Siskel and Ebert or something?
One guy complained that they used real balloons for the balloon dog.
Yeah, that was like... Was that like a Siskel and Ebert thing?
No, but they were complaining, and it's just like, what? So I can't remember who said this. It may have been the guy who did the score. But he says that he thinks there's 2 kinds of people. People that like this movie and people who hate this movie. He says people who get this movie are really nice people. But the ones who don't, they just have issues, and they need to get those issues figured out so they can enjoy this while it's like a childlike charm.
It's probably true.
I think there's something to that. You're nitpicking. You don't understand. Like you just don't understand what they're doing. It's like this is awesome.
It's a balloon
this
dog.
Is great.
How would you expect a balloon dog to work? That works. You come on. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, and it's not as easy as you think. Apparently, the balloon dogs kept popping as they were running through the forest because the balloon, if it hits a stick and you're running, tends to pop. So they had to like spray it with latex and like let it dry to create like a different kind of texture on it. So like you have to work with these things. It's not just as simple as saying I'm going to use a balloon animal.
Well, the clown sells it pretty well when the dog takes off. I like that.
Though there was one scene when they're running in the forest with the balloon dog where he's not actually holding the balloon dog.
Oh, who was holding it?
No one. It was gone.
Oh,
well,
the dog went off on his own. The dog probably had to chase the dog.
And then came back. Yeah, I guess they did kill 2 dogs in this movie, not just one.
Oh, yeah.
The balloon dog got run over.
That was kind of funny. They had the little arf, I think.
So, what's your favorite scene in the movie?
Oh, man. The shadow puppet scene is really well done. I think that gets it to some degree on a technical level for a creep factor when the clown is trying to lure the little girl out of the diner, but then they kind of avert that because the mom comes over and it ends. But you also got to realize there's a large number of people in this town that got cotton candy eyes, and I guess they never tried to free them. The ship took off, so they're all going to be missing persons. So that's interesting too.
Well, they're not to be freed; they're dead.
Isn't there a line of dialogue when the officer says we got to free the people, and Mike stops him? And I don't remember if they clarify that.
That was in reference to the balloons. They didn't check all the balloons.
Oh, not the cotton candy pods. Interesting.
Yeah, the cotton candy pods. You got to keep in mind the farmer got it, cotton candied, and then within an hour or so, Mike saw his dead face in the cotton candy wad.
Yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't take long for that. But so the puppet scene, the shadow puppet scene, is my favorite. I like the real puppet scene too. That was good.
Clever. I like it.
Yeah,
I
like the effects in the popcorn in the bathroom thing. You can say her acting wasn't great, and it was probably an hour-long shower and getting dressed. But in terms of how they drag it on through the scenes in the movie, but I'd like the special effects of the little proto clowns. Wait, they use a bunch of matte paintings for a lot of these backgrounds. They're all amazing. They're all amazing. Whoever they,
oh man,
I mean, I don't know who did them, but applaud.
Looks so much better than many of movies that we've seen with bigger budgets. Just how they work that in.
Yeah, I think my favorite special effect is the spinning top spaceship at the end, where it's rising up and blows up. That's a real top. It's not camera trickery. It's actually something floating there and spinning.
Did we confirm the top exploded? I wasn't sure what happened there.
It exploded with fireworks, basically. Yeah, it blew up. I'm not sure why killing the Clownzilla did that, but, whatever.
Hive mind. Huh. Clownzilla's pretty good, too. That whole deal with the truck and, or King Clown, we'll call him.
Yeah. It's one of the few scenes that the Chiodo Brothers did all the effects for. The clowns. There's a lot of clowns.
They don't have any names, unfortunately. Not officially in the movie.
They don't have
Maybe
official.
Later.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember about the credits, but they had names that they used when they're making the movie so they would just know what clown they're referring to. You got Jumbo, Fatso, Shorty, Rudy, Spiky, Slim, Bibbo, Chubby, Joe, Magori, Talls, Frank. You got the female clowns. I guess those were Rosebud and Daisy.
I didn't. Oh yeah. I do remember them now. They spent some time with Rich and Paul.
Yeah, Rich and Paul spent the whole movie trying to pick up girls with an ice cream truck, a clown-themed ice cream truck. And then in the final scenes, while they're running through the crazy place, they fall through the floor into a ball pit hot tub with 2 lady clowns. They're later seen with their clothes shredded up and lipstick all over their face. So glad that was off screen. What can you say?
So apparently those lady clowns were not there to lure them in and kill them like sirens. They just, an interesting twist there.
It was. So you want to talk about the popcorn? You've referenced the popcorn.
Oh yeah, I'm still chewing on it. Oh, this movie just gets popcorn in my head and in my mouth. I'm mixing it with gummy worms right now. Oh man. Well,
look. The last time you do that, you got a big bellyache.
No, not the popcorn. That was the Peeps Easter gummies, Peep flavored Easter gummies, and a Cracker Barrel hamburger steak meal right before I did all that. That's the last time I really got it rough. Probably added some soda in there.
Gotcha. So about the popcorn. You want to take us through the popcorn?
So I am disappointed in this movie because they introduced, on a special effects technical level, they introduced the popcorn gun, and it was amazing to see that thing shoot, and then to see the popcorn follow the people through the corridor. Or what's her name, Debbie, and Tobacco Mike. And I don't think the popcorn gun ever gets used again.
Yeah, and it's weird. Apparently, that was the most expensive individual item in the movie, and it cost $6,000 or $7,000. It had a real motor in it, and it really did shoot popcorn. Not the popcorn that followed them, but you would think you'd want to work that in a little more.
I count 3 alien clown guns. There's the popcorn gun, there's the cotton candy gun, and then there's one other gun that I think I'm forgetting.
Not sure.
The pie and the ice cream is different. Like when they throw pies at people that burns their flesh off. Yeah, acid pies. I was thinking there was one other gun, but they use the cotton candy gun a lot more, which makes sense if they want to eat the people. But the cotton candy is cool because it will stick to the people, and it will eventually start to, much like Trantor the Troll, I guess, it will start to grow into new clowns. And I don't know if they become fully grown clowns or if they just stay in weird Shin Godzilla states of clowndom.
So I think he said cotton candy gun. It was really the popcorn gun that it would stick to them, and then you get the clown growing later. It took a long time for the clowns to grow out of the popcorn, though. I will say that. Very slow process. No real clear activator either.
I guess that's to make you feel like it's no big deal. That, you stop worrying about it.
I feel like it should be more sudden. Because what if someone chose to eat it?
Oh, alien situation. No good. Nobody wants that.
Well, either that or the stomach acid would take out their little proto nose. But yeah.
Well, that could happen. Sure. That's a possibility if they work the same way.
Is there anything you didn't like in this movie?
The characters. The acting. So this will be my biggest problem with the movie. As much as I love watching the clowns go rampage, at no point do I say, boy, I really hope that character makes it through to the end. Even like John Vernon, who's the best actor, he's built up in a way to make you wish for a horrible death for him. And strangely, we don't really get... I feel like he dies real too quick and easy. When Vernon is sitting there just not answering the calls, the whole town. You really do kind of...
he does get to play the part of a puppet, though.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I give you the puppet bit was pretty cool with Vernon. But, or Mooney, right, Officer Mooney. Even our main characters, so you feel like you're supposed to root for Mike and Debbie, but then, strangely, you start rooting for Officer Hansen. Even though a lot of these movies, if it's an authority figure, you expect you're not going to trust them, or the authority figure is going to be more of a trouble to solving the plot than a help. But somehow Officer Hansen, even though he's a bit of a jerk, he puts Mike in handcuffs for no reason, you start to root for the guy, and then it looks like he's going to sacrifice himself for everybody else, and then you're sympathetic, and you're kind of glad when he lives, but at the same time, you're not really ecstatic that he lives, and I don't know that I really care who gets together with who at the end of the movie. Rich and Paul, I guess, those are the only guys you're kind of sad when you think they've died, and when they're alive, you're like, oh, good, but that's it. The characters are a disappointment to me.
So I'm a little disappointed that they don't have 2 endings on the Blu-ray or the 4K disc that I watched. So I don't know if you saw this. I'm not sure. Did you see the full commentary stuff?
No. You might talk about the movie commentary, right? I watched about half of it. I fell asleep on the couch. So that was the end of that.
So it's mentioned in the commentary that what we see is not the original ending. So they originally were not going to have Dave Hansen live, Officer Hansen. And they showed it to test screenings, and based off the feedback, they were kind of pressured to go back and made a little lighter ending. Because it's a little bit dark, well, significantly darker if you don't. Now, the 2 brothers were always going to live. They're always going to pop out of the ice cream truck. Or not the ice cream truck, but the clown car. So they went back 3 months after and refilmed it with Dave alive. So It's interesting. I really would like to have seen the other ending and to see how that made me feel, so to speak, in terms of how it went. I do think there's something to be said about the fact that the the real hero got the girl back.
Yeah.
And Mike stumbled back to the little Nimrods, Slapnut friends. But
they're all probably better off that way.
probably. And then it kind of leaves you with a cliffhanger at the end.
Well, I wondered if that meant they were going to die too, because they got covered in the same acidic pie that the other guy did.
Yeah. Okay, so basically the thing blows up in the middle of the air, and then eventually, just like there's the old Tremors movies where you would kill the ground worm, the sandworm, and then you have its guts kind of like falling from the sky from the explosion. So you have a similar effect of things falling from the sky from the exploding spaceship, and the pies that melted the security guard earlier, they hit the three main characters pretty good. I think, if I'm not mistaken, when they were first trying to get a sequel going, I think the idea was that Mike was going to still be in the movie, but he would have become the town's drunk. So
All right.
I would love to think that the pies, maybe he's hideously scarred, and all his friends, they got killed by the pies. So he survived this traumatic situation only to lose everyone ultimately, and it sends him down the road of being the town drunk. I could work with that, or I think you could work with that.
Yeah, it'd give Mike some character development that would be much needed if he's going to be your main character.
Yeah, and the Chiodo Brothers made it clear they were gonna buck the norms, go against the trends. They even told the composer, if you would normally do this, do the opposite. Like, this is supposed to be quirky, hence the dog dying in the first scene. But
yeah,
I think that would have been a great way to end this movie.
That's fair. Yeah. I think I remembered the third gun because you were talking about, just what happens to characters. Isn't the third gun the one that the clowns use on Debbie to put her in the bubble?
Ah, the bubble gun. Yes.
But It's interesting they have a bubble gun because they didn't want to kill her outright or make her into a snack. They wanted to save her for something else. Now, I don't care what it was, but it is interesting they have another option they could use.
Yeah, they never explore that. Maybe they just needed fresher food for later. I don't know.
Yeah, one for the road. Yeah, put it on ice. I was curious that I wasn't sure the gun was going to break the bubble, but it did. That was a little bit surprising.
I feel like it should have ricocheted a little bit. So apparently, for the special effects, she was standing or sitting on a table behind the balloon, and basically when the balloon popped, she just fell off the table. And they did a little special effects to kind of cover that up in the background.
It works, yeah.
She took one for the team. She face planted on that.
Yeah. Well, I saw in the bloopers she banged her head on the window when she was about to jump out of her house, and the clowns were waiting with the That was funny. I like the trampoline bit.
Ow!
They used
and then bleep.
Oh, you're just talking about the blooper, yeah. But just even the original scene, it's just funny they had a trampoline down there.
Oh yeah, they're going off all the old the tropes.
Yeah, I don't know why they really want to do it, other than that they're clowns. But yeah,
what clowns do, like the circus. No, they work a lot of fun stuff into this movie, and this movie moves, man. It's like it is paced. It is one of the best paced movies I think out there. Like, there's no fluff in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, some scenes might have just indulged a little bit longer than necessary, but there's no outright scene that I could say I don't think it needs to be in the movie.
For them to have never directed a movie before, they did really good. So Clownzilla was originally going to be stop motion, but they decided it wouldn't work. So they went Godzilla style. And I think originally they did call it like the King Kong clown, a la the stop motion. And then they called it the Clownzilla because they put the guy in the rubber suit. I love their respect for history.
It was a good rubber suit.
Like, if you're going to have a stop motion scene and call it a King Kong clown, and then you decide, we got to go rubber suit. Oh, well, we got to change the name then. I like that.
Yeah, respect.
Absolutely.
What happens when the shadow puppet ate the people? Did the clown put something in his bag? Because that's a little bit different way to capture people. How did that work for him?
I think he just put the people in the bag.
And we never found out what happened.
No, they mentioned in the commentary that made no sense, but putting them in a bag of popcorn was a lot more fun than putting them in an empty bag. So
I agree. The car chase was fun. It had a little bit of a Dukes of Hazzard vibe of multiple vehicles chasing each other.
You talking about where the clown car is being chased by the ice cream truck being chased by the cop car?
Yes, and Debbie's in the bubble the whole time.
Yeah, and they're not allowed to wreck these cars because they're all rentals. And they didn't have the budget.
I was surprised
so when the cop car crashes into when the cop car crashes into the ice cream truck, they make the sound and the noise if the radiator's been busted. But if you look at it, they're about 2 inches apart, and there's no damage.
I saw the so-called crash, and I said, "Oh, he didn't hit him he didn't hit him bad, but then, like, the officer has a concussion, and supposedly the radiator's busted. I was like, oh, I thought 1980s cars had a lot more structural integrity than that. Because that's what, it was supposed to be in the 80s, all the impact would go to the person, because the car would be built to last everything before the 80s, but the impact is absorbed by the person. Maybe that's what happened.
Lost a lot of NASCAR drivers that way.
Mm-hmm. Sure enough.
Yeah, that they finally realized that you want the car to take the impact, not the person.
Crumble is good, or what they call it, the crash zone or the crumple zone.
Yeah. So I like the scene. The crash a little lackluster. I didn't care so much for the other car scene that almost was the opening of the movie, where you have the invisible car with the clown on it running the other guy off the road. I liked it, but after I heard that they originally made it was going to be the first scene, I'm thinking, I don't know if that works.
No,
I wouldn't want to open a movie with it.
No, you're not ready for that kind of humor at the first thing. You gotta start with the balloon dog and work your way up, I think.
Yeah. So you gonna watch it again sometime?
Yeah, probably. I guess there's really no other alternate versions. I know they said there's a TV edit, but it's not like I'm gonna benefit by getting a different disc or watching it somewhere else.
Well, you have the scenes that were in the TV edit, so.
Yeah, I guess so. It's just those two, right? That are listed.
As far as
on
I
the
know,
disc.
yeah.
I'm definitely a little bit interested in this video game. I don't know if I own any platforms that the game is offered on. It makes me curious. I know that a trading card set was released fairly recently by Cardsmiths. I don't know if you've heard of that. I think they put out Killer Clown trading cards. Kind of interesting. Not enough that I want to buy them or collect them, but the video game catches my attention.
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, it's made by the same people who made that Friday the 13th video game that ultimately had rights issues and basically got canned.
It was sort of online only, almost, right? The Friday the 13th.
Something like that.
A survive, which the appeal is a good one, but I just never got, the concept never interested me that much.
But yeah, so we might get more Killer Clowns. I'd like to see some confirmation that the Chiodo Brothers are involved.
Yeah.
I feel like there shouldn't be a way for them not to. Like, I feel like they should be able to demand it. But I do know MGM, I believe, has at least some of the rights. So.
Okay, and they're going to milk them, by golly. If a studio has rights, they're going to milk them this day and age.
Yeah, I would imagine it's going to go straight to streaming, but
that'd be all right.
I haven't heard whether or not it's a series or a movie, but I don't know. I'd like to be excited about it. I think I'd prefer
a series somehow. I'd like a series on Killer Clowns.
I think it could go either way. I think they're similar to Chucky in that regard.
Mm.
But I think you do have to be careful. Like, you don't need too much backstory. Like, you need to keep the tone of this movie. And how many seasons of a show can you do that with? I don't know.
Yeah, it's inevitable you get some kind of weird clown-human hybrid character who's trying to straddle the line and exposits all the history of everything. And
yeah.
Even the Chiodo Brothers, in the commentary, they play around with the idea that maybe the reason we have clowns is because extraterrestrial clowns landed on the planet thousands or millions of years ago and put the idea for clowns into the earth. I don't, but they were just joking, sort of. But that's a direction something more serious might probably go.
Yeah, I think so. I think you could do something similar to the Tremor series, which I'm sure you haven't watched, but they had a lot of movies and they were all kind of quirky. Even like the Leprechaun movies, like you just put it in a new situation. And I think you could do something similar with the clowns, where you don't necessarily have to make a giant backstory. You just drop the clowns in a new place, like you would in any of the old horror movies.
Yeah.
And maybe you do have a prequel where you explore the origins of the clowns. Or maybe not the origins of the clowns, but their first appearance on Earth. And maybe you do have the origination of clowns on Earth. Because these aren't really clowns. They just look like clowns.
I do question a little bit of what I heard from the Chiodo commentary. They said one of the appeals of this movie is taking something that is not supposed to be disturbing and making it disturbing. But I think they underestimate the disturbing quality that clowns would have had even in 1987. Because you've already had Stephen King's It, right? That was already a thing.
I think so. At least the book.
And, you already had the Joker, but he's a little bit more playful villain. But you also had the real-life instance of John Wayne Gacy, the so-called killer clown serial killer in Chicago in the late 70s. So there was plenty of fodder out there for people being disturbed by clowns.
Well, even one of the Chiodo brothers says he was horrified of clowns. But I think what they get at, though, isn't wrong. So every time a person comes up to a clown in this movie, or the clown comes up to them, they're not initially afraid, despite the fact that they absolutely should be.
They're humongous and they're demented looking. I mean,
Yeah.
I was afraid of Mr. Peanut as a kid because yeah, he was humongous, man. Tell you what.
Yeah. So I don't know. I get what they're saying, that like for a split moment everyone's entertained by these clowns, but then the clown reveals their real intention and they die. But you do have a few people that just don't like clowns, and like they know the truth. Clowns are creepy.
Yeah, sure.
So it does go both ways. Now, I believe they're right when they say that this is the first time on film you have basically killer clowns.
It doesn't count.
So I don't think the movie, well, the TV movie hadn't come out yet. I think the book had been out, but not the movie.
I saw it.
That was a made for TV movie that I remember watching as a kid. So I would have only been 5.
I mean, we had a Joker on screen in Batman. You can
He wasn't a
debate
killer
whether
clown.
he really killed or not. Okay, maybe.
Definitely not a bunch of them.
Eh.
So the It miniseries came out on ABC in 1990.
Really? Okay. I stand corrected.
You definitely didn't have the equivalent of the space monsters or the ants and them or the things like that. Which is kind of it's kind of nuts. You never had killer clowns, plural at least, maybe a singular, on film before this.
Yeah. Well, maybe it changed the way we think of clowns. Huh.
And then the clowns' costumes, by all evidence, they were reused as the trolls in Ernest Scared Stupid.
Right.
But the Chiodo Brothers themselves denied that major parts of them were reused, apparently, in an interview. And I'm not buying that, because some of these pictures, either they remade the heads or they used the heads. One of the other.
It would have had to have been like a same mold if that was the case.
Yeah.
However that worked.
So, I mean, potato, but, they did make an appearance, which I saw this movie, then I saw Ernest. I loved both. Didn't see the connection. Watched this one again and said, wait a second, I remember that.
Yeah.
So how are we going to rate this thing?
Well, there's popcorn. There's cotton candy sacks. What else we got? Rubber noses.
I mean, I think cotton candy cocoons are probably the most obvious choice.
Yeah. So I go first, and I give it 4 out of 5, and that's a huge compliment, because in a movie where I didn't care for any of the main characters, whether they lived or died, usually that's the big thing for me, the characterization. But I'm still giving it 4 out of 5, because, man, those clowns are great, and the effects are great, and I had a great time watching them steamroll through the town.
So I'm going to go 5 out of 5. This is a near perfect B movie. It's such a B+, it's almost an A-. It's an A movie. It's a B movie that's an A movie. I'm giving it 5 out of 5. They got $1.8 million budget. They couldn't afford real actors.
John Vernon, who they kill off. Yeah, they kill him off.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. He wanted to be a zombie later, a zombie clown. But they said,
we'll
just leave him where he was.
Oh, man, they missed out on having that.
Might have been too much. But I asked my kids what they thought of the movie, and they're not really into stuff like this for the most part. They're getting to that age, but they're not quite there yet. And their response was, it was great. Like, all the scenes are good. Like, they recognized, without me telling them, that, like, there really wasn't anything in this movie that made it drag. It was just a fun sequence after fun sequence after fun sequence. So, 5 out of 5. Tempted to give it 6, but
6 out of 5. What do you have to do to get a 6 out of 5? You have to it's like they have to send you money while you watch it or something?
This is, if I just listed like the movies I enjoyed the most and the movies I'd watched the most, this is in the top 10 for me. Possibly top 5.
That's something right there.
Like, I just really like everything about this movie. And the more I learn about the Chiodo Brothers as I've gotten older, this makes me appreciate it even more.
And again, you would have thought they could have marketed this thing up the wazoo by now, but there's very little clown merchandise. It had, considering all the R-rated movies that got adapted into Saturday morning cartoons, that could have happened with the clowns. You could have had a toy line in the style of Toxic Crusaders or, I don't even know some of those things, but could have happened. Didn't happen. Could have had more video games.
If this had been a 90s movie, I think it would have happened. I think because it's the 80s, didn't have a lot of toys yet.
Yeah,
And
that's
then the
fair.
90s came around, and I would say the late 90s is when this movie would have been least known. I don't think it had gotten a DVD release yet. So
Mm-hmm.
a little bit older. And really, in just the last 5 years, you have true like adult toys in the sense of appropriate adult toys that are like action figures and things. I'm
So,
pretty sure adult toys have been around as long as man, but
yeah.
yeah. So all the stuff that has come out has been in the last 5 years as people our age have asked for it, and they finally decided we can make money off this, which is probably the only reason why the Amazon thing's going to happen. It's because
All
they've
right.
recognized that that we really do have enough audience to support this. So
There you go. I felt I
I
feel
broke
like
you.
all the toy market today. What? No, no. Well, talk about adult toys in Ernest, not Ernest P. Worrell, but what's the percentage now of toys that are being bought by adults as opposed to children? It's some crazy percentage shift.
Well, I mean, the kids' toys cost $20 for an action figure. So are there any kids' toys? It's
Inflation
like,
crazy. It probably
I mean, they're so
it probably has
expensive
something to do
now.
with government
No, it's
regulations
so
on
expensive.
plastic. Well, people are trying to cut down on. I shouldn't say people are trying to cut down. Corporations are probably getting taxed higher for plastic, and so they want to raise prices on what should be fairly cheap goods. And I mean, it's not. People complain about plastic waste, but a lot of these people never want to throw their plastic toys out, so that's not going to be a huge problem anyway, compared to all the water bottles that
Yeah,
people throw out.
and I feel like they're cheaper too. They're so expensive you don't want to give them to your kid until they're old enough to like make them last for a little bit. All right. Well, that has been Killer Clowns from Outer Space from 1988, an American classic,
Yeah.
and everyone should watch this movie. It's awesome. That's all I can
Yep.
say about it. Unless you want me to sing more of the song.
No, I don't need that.
All right. Bye bye.
Yep. I got nothing clever to say. I'm sure.